Hello, we're here with artist Cedric Ingram. My first question to you, Mr. Ingram, is how do you feel your work and the work of other African American artists is currently represented in major museums? Do you see progress in recent years?
I think in recent years, yes, this, especially now, there's sadly to say, I think it's kind of a trend now. When it should have been, I think African American art should have been, recognized long ago. But there seems to be at least getting some recognition. Obviously, that percentage is still way outweighed, one way versus the other. So, but I from some of my artist friends and some other African American artists that I know of are definitely getting recognition now. And honestly, it kind of seems like some museums and curators and so forth are kind of like jumping on the boat, and in some ways again, it may be a good thing that there's a little bit of competition now. But like I said, historically, we all know that we haven't had our fair share in telling our story and our perspectives, and that's one of the things that I do within my work is definitely trying to put in the narrative, obviously from our perspective, but yes, the hardest thing now still is having the chance to be in those same spaces.
Okay. My next question is, in your experience, what are the biggest barriers for African American artists in gaining recognition and representation in prestigious museums?
Honestly, now that I think about it, being able to relate. Obviously, we share, similar stories when it comes to, discrimination and those topics. But I think, and I'm speaking as an African American artist, obviously, but I think we can always have our own perspectives and the way we portray, what we portray in our art. But to really get others to truly feel, outside of ethnicity, outside of being African American, getting others to truly feel our perspectives and get into our shoes to truly feel what it is that we're trying to portray within the work.
Okay. And how do you think the limited diversity in museum leadership and curatorial positions affects the representation and interpretation of African American art?
I think that kind of goes along a little bit with the previous question. You can never truly, I think, really feel the way somebody else sees what it is that you put out there as an artist. You can only trust, unless the communication is there. But that's one thing that I'm not necessarily too sure of. A lot of opinions, a lot of decisions are based on opinions when it comes to curatorial decisions, and then based on who they work for and who they're backed by. A lot of that, kind of the bureaucratic, I won't say policies, but systems kind of take place into those decisions of who gets a chance at what. So honestly, like I said, that's pretty similar to a lot of things, in the way that things are run. But ultimately, those decisions, that are made, have some sort of tie to them. So.
Okay. Next is, what changes would you like to see in museums to create a more inclusive and equitable space for minority artists?
I think, yes, it starts with the artist allowed to be in those and show in those spaces, but there needs to be even more of a connect to those communities to be able to see and enjoy the work. That's one of the things I think about all the time within my work is, obviously for me, I have themes and imagery that portray African American culture, usually for me in a modern context, but it's only halfway met if I'm not able to, reach the people that for me, I grew up not seeing much African American art that represented obviously my culture and as a certain level of empowerment in that. So it's one thing to show the work. It's another thing to reach the people. And of course, the artwork is the art is for everybody. But in specific cases, when we're trying to talk about inclusion, that means reaching that audience at the same time too, and being allowed to and enticed to come into those spaces and view the work and partake in different events and different programs that are administered by the museums or galleries or whatever.
Okay. And my last question is, how do you balance addressing themes of race and identity in your work with the desire to be recognized for your artistry beyond racial categorization?
Honestly, I don't think too. I mean, I try not to think too much. For me, I just like to be myself and say what I want to say in the work. And fortunately, that's a lot of areas and areas that I've shown in, galleries that I've shown in, and the people that have some of those decisions that they can make. They've just allowed me to be who I am and what I want to say within the work. So that's all I can really speak to is just being me within my work. And honestly, people have kind of endorsed that idea. So for others, I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to kind of determine. So. Okay.
And what grade do you think Yuri Ceroli should get in this assignment?
Absolutely an A+.
Okay. Thank you.